So in this section, what we are going to do is we are going to look at a different methods which are available in String API and their uses. So I am going to create a new class for that, and let me name it Stream API methods. I would add a public static void main into it, and just to kickstart, I have a list of strings. So if you see this list, I have initialized an array as a list, and it is having different names. The length of the names is varying. So now let's look at the first method, which is called map, which is available in streams. So map function or map method actually accepts one type of objects and can return a different type of objects. So we are trying to what I am trying to do here is I am trying to create an array with the length of these strings. So if the input data type is a string, and the output data type would be a integer, and to be specific, the input data would be a string array and the output would be a integer array having length of each of these strings. So in order to do that, I'm going to do list.stream, and instead of collect, I need to use the map function, and then what I want to do is I want to get the length of the map of individual strings here, and then I want to collect it as a list. So if I look at it, the collection here would be a list of maps. So if I do a map, just so that we know it is coming out of as an output of map method, and now if I run it, you would see when we mapped it, it is giving us 3, which is the length of the first string, 5 being the length of Willy. One more thing I want to introduce here is it is not necessary, there is one more method available which IntelliJ is also suggesting. You can also change this to method referencing. So if I do this, it can convert this as lambda expression into string.length. So you would get the same results if I run it again. So map is basically accepts one type of objects and convert them into another type of object. Let's move on to the next basics of stream method is reduce. So reduce is a method through which you can convert that whole string into just one data type, and then when I say reduction means you do reduction on some logic. So in this case, what we can do is we can add all these strings and just result into one string, but there can be different ways through which you can reduce one object array into another. So for example, if it is an account, you can reduce all of that into one integer coming out as an the sum of all the account balances. So let's do the reduce here, and for reducing, what I need is I need a binary operator. So because the binary operator basically accepts 2 string, and then it is going to convert them into one string, and then it will apply the same method on all of the subsequent strings, and that way we would have one final string. This is a longer way to do it. I will just convert this into a lambda expression once you understand it quickly. So if you see here, binary operator having one method apply and just returning the addition of these two strings. Now I can simply use this. So I'll say reduce and now I can do list dot stream dot filter. So basically what I want to do is I want to add all the strings who are having length less than 4, for example. Okay, length is less than or maybe equal to 4 in this case, so that we will have a couple of results out there. And then I can use the reduce and the binary operator. Okay, so what it is going to do is it is going to filter all of these out of these array, all the strings which are having length as 4, and then will reduce it. So the reduction logic we have written is just to add these two strings. Now if I run it, you see, okay, so you see an optional of rows and zeta. So the reduction gives you a optionals, and optional means you can either get it or this option is a way to handle the nullity in Java at 8. So if you want to get it, you can apply a method called get, which will give you the actual objects. So if you don't put get, it will give you an optional. If you put a get, but be careful with get. If there is out of this reduction logic, if there is no object generated, then you can get a null pointer exception, and that's the way that's the reason it is returning you an optional. But I'll keep you things simple for this case. Just apply a get for the cases where you know that it is surely going to give you an object, and that will simply add two strings for which the length is 4. So rows and zeta both are having string as 4, so it has reduced those two strings and then converted them into just one string. So this is a reduction logic. And the map reduce filter, right? That's the basic of Stream API. So some part of filter which we have already seen here, we are filtering it for the basis of on the basis of the length of the string. So you can do another filter, any other filter as well. So for example, you can also filter it for the strings which starts with, let's say, let's go with W, and then you can collect it into a list, and then once you do that, you would get a list of so you get another list here, and then you can also do a sys out, and let me take this list out, and in the sys out I will just put it so that it's easy to identify. Yeah, so it's filter. Okay, so what I need to do is system.out.println okay. So this way it will only print the strings which starts with W. So let's give it a go. So you see the filter is working, and then it is giving you Willy addressee here. Moving on to the next method, which is FlatMap. So FlatMap is basically used to combine two lists or two collections and then convert them into one. So basically it's a method through which you can merge two lists two collections. So let's take an example of that. So in order to do that, the first thing we need is we need two lists. So to save some time here, what I have done is I have created two lists. So accounts, which is new array list, it is having few names here, and then to identify that it is coming from a different list, I have created a list of same accounts, but just put one here. If you want to look at the account class, this is a simple class having few basic class variables, and then the constructor which is setting these values. Coming back to methods, so we have two lists now. Okay, now I need a method through which I can create a list of lists, because to demonstrate that it is it converts these multiple lists into just one list. So I would say account list equal to account arrays dot as list account 1 and account 2. Okay, so now this list, account list, is basically a list of lists having two of these account lists inside it. If we just want to look at it, let's print it and see what do we get. List dot stream dot for each, I want to do a sys out, and now if I do a sys out, you see that it is printing two lists. This is one object, this is another object, this is another object. So basically it is printing two lists. These two lists are separated lists. What we need to do through FlatMap is merge these two lists into just one. So FlatMap can do that for us. So to do that, let me do account. I'm going to create a new account, and this time you can say it account list FlatMap equal to, so I need to have this account list here dot stream dot FlatMap. Now this FlatMap, what I want to do is I want to do collect dot stream, and then I can do collect to list, or it should be actually collection dot stream. Yeah, so what we are trying to do here is we are taking individual streams and then we are converting them into a specific we are merging these two lists, converting them into just one list. So now if I want to show you the results of it, so stream dot for each, I would say account as out, and let me put FlatMap here so that we know it's coming from FlatMap, and a dot holder name, account holder name. So now if I run it, you would see that we just have one list coming out of the FlatMap. So what we have done here is we have merged these two lists using FlatMap. So this is a good example of FlatMap. Let's move on to few simple things now. So one more thing, method which is available in stream is count, which will simply can count the number of elements in stream. So if I do this, stream dot count, put count here. Okay. I expect a number 10 there because the size of the stream is 10. So this is a simple one. There are few more simple ones but very useful. One of them is called limit. So what we want to do is let's say we have a stream of 10 elements there, and we want to convert those 10 elements in, we just want to use first 2 elements out of it. So the way we can do that is we can just use limit. So to demonstrate it, if I use stream dot limit and I say just 2, that way it will only pick up the first 2 items from the list, and then we'll do the rest of the operation just on the first 2 operations. So limit and do it s dot hold on it. Now if I run it, it is giving me just 2 results. So it is limiting the stream by just 2 elements, the first 2 elements actually. The second another option which is available is skip. So skip is used to skip few elements initially. So let's say if I just do 2 and then do a for each as, and then system.out.println s dot folder name, and I would also do a limit here, sorry, a skip here, and now if I run it, you would see that what it has done is it has skipped the first 2 elements and it started directly from Ram, John, Steve, Bob 1, Ram 1 and John 1. So you can say skip is an opposite of limit. Limit will only use the first 2 elements. Skip will exclude the first 2 elements. So generally what we do is, if you want to, let's say if you want to, if you are writing a Java program and then we want to limit and specific operations only for the accounts which are having balance less than 10,000. So one way to do that is filter it based on that. Another way, if we already have a sorted list and you know till how many elements, how many accounts are already there, you can also use a limit to do that. So it depends on the scenario which you want to on which you want to use this limit and skip. Okay, that's it for this section. Thanks for watching and see you in the next section.